Right now at 5, heavy rains leave their mark on the 4 states and strong winds bring down power poles in southwest Missouri.
We've got another day of potentially damaging wind gusts, and we've even got some light snow out there this morning. We'll have a look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus, we have advice from the experts on staying safe during possible flooding conditions.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Elise Snowy.
And I'm Chris Warner. It is now Wednesday, and it is March the 5th, and we had just a wild ride yesterday.
Yes.
The winds really started to ramp up yesterday evening. My kids were impressed. They were watching the swing set out back, like do loop-de-loops out there.
Fun.
Yeah, it was. It's the thing is, it's still windy.
It really is
very windy out
yes.
there now across the whole area. And the problem is these are still potentially damaging wind gusts. We saw some damage from them yesterday. We could still have power outages and other issues today because they're not going to ease up until much later.
Right.
I have to contend with this for a hot minute. Let's take a look outside downtown Pittsburgh. Every so often as those wind gusts hit, boy, this camera, there it goes, really starts to rock and roll out there. We still have the cloudy skies. We do have some light snow showers, but there's really not much out there at this point. MoDOT camera 32nd in range line. Looking pretty good so far this morning as well. But again, it is quite windy, and it will remain that way until the late evening hours. We'll get a brief pause from these gusty winds. So it will be colder. Skies will gradually clear through the day. Some of our western counties, you may clear a little earlier, so you might get to be a little warmer than everyone else. But otherwise, just a very cold day, and even those of you who may be a little warmer are still going to be below average in terms of those temperatures today. This morning, it is cold. We're into the 30s, but we got a good mix, low, mid, and upper 30s. And again, we're getting some light snow showers, but really not sticking to much of anything. Winter weather advisories that we have in place are more so for the snow blowing in the wind, but it's not coming down nearly as heavily or as intensely as I think a lot of as we were originally looking at, so not posing as many problems. Kids get on the bus this morning. Low 30s, mostly cloudy, and those northwest winds 30 to 35 sustained, gusts to 50 or greater. That's going to be the same case this afternoon. Clearing skies, though, about 44, and those northwest winds still sustained 25 to 35. Those gusts, though, ranging anywhere from 50 to 65 miles an hour. So this wind is not something to play around in. I had my cruise control on, and coming north toward the station, my car was fighting this wind. The cruise control was fighting this wind. So you need to take it seriously. If you're driving a high-profile vehicle, you've got to be very aware of these gusty winds out there. Highs today, eventually low to mid-40s. Will start to clear out. Still breezy through the evening. These winds, again, won't ease up until maybe 8, 9 o'clock tonight. It'll be cold tonight as well. The winds do return, thankfully not as intensely tomorrow, and the warmer weather arrives again. We'll go over those details with you here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, we'll see you soon, Chris. A Carthage man is rushed to the hospital after suffering multiple gunshot wounds late Tuesday evening. Carthage first responders were called to the 400 block of South Orner Avenue around 9:40 p.m. yesterday for reports of gunshots. Now, upon arrival, they found an adult male with multiple gunshot wounds. Despite his life-threatening injuries, the man was talking to first responders before being transported to Mercy Joplin. While the investigation is ongoing, there is a subject detained at this time, and police believe this was an isolated incident as both parties know each other. We'll have more information on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com, as it becomes available. And to be the first to see breaking news, weather and sports, you can download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. Well, strong winds brought down multiple power poles on Hazel Avenue between Airport Drive and Fur Road in Jasper County, forcing a road closure and causing a power outage in the area. Now, authorities had urged drivers to avoid that area while repairs were underway. But Carthage Water and Electric says all pole repairs have been completed and normal traffic has resumed on Hazel Avenue. And the National Weather Service highlighted flood safety yesterday during Severe Weather Preparedness Week. Amid the downpour of rain, the 4 states search and rescue chief wants to remind people that just 6 inches of swiftly moving water can knock someone off their feet, and a foot of water can sweep away some cars. Now, the city of Miami's fire chief says because Miami tends to be flood prone, their department has done many water rescues in the past.
Closest to the river in the southwest part of town, I think, are most prone to having being impacted by our floodwaters. But there's several streets throughout town, Elm Street, 22nd, Highway 125. They all flood pretty easily.
Now, according to weather.gov, floods kill more people in the U.S. each year than any other thunderstorm-related hazard. Miami residents will soon have a chance to learn more about a proposed bioprocessing project near Quapaw. Argo Development partners along with the Miami Area Economic Development Service, or MAIDS, will host an open house for the Oklahoma bioprocessing project. The open house will provide an overview of the project, which aims to convert poultry litter into renewable natural gas and fertilizer, as well as give the public a chance to ask questions. The open house will take place Tuesday, March 11th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at the Miami Civic Center. Well, soon warmer weather will be here, which means more motorcycles will hit the roads. According to MoDOT, last year there were 133 fatalities involving cyclists in Missouri. KOAM's Lonnie Walton has more.
Accelerating to go around them, my bike hit their car. Me and the bike flipped over the car, landed on the pavement.
To help prevent incidents like Dave's, Caitlin Gittiland from Pitbull Power Sports in Joplin says everyone should follow a few tips.
To look at 360 all the way around, making sure you're looking over your shoulder whenever you're going into another lane. Most people just look in their mirror and think that they're good.
And according to Dave, just knowing the rules is not enough. You may need some additional training also.
They are very dangerous if you don't know how to ride them, so you should take a class if you've never rode before.
Both Gittiland and Staso say motorcyclists should make sure the weather is good before getting on the bike.
It's not so good of a day, but once that weather hits back up in the 60s in the next couple days, you're going to see everybody out on their bikes.
Of course, always with road conditions, adjust your riding based on road conditions with weather.
And most importantly, Staso says you really need to look out for yourself.
Cycles are on their own. You have to ride a bike like you're invisible and nobody else will see you, because 90% of the time they won't see you, so you have to protect yourself.
Reporting in Joplin, I'm Lonnie Walton, KOAM News.
Now, according to MoDOT, although most crashes happen in urban areas, most fatal motorcycle incidents happen in rural areas. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes, coming up on the KOAM Morning News. Well, Southeast boys basketball tries to punch its ticket to the sub-state championship game. We'll have the details. Plus, a new suspended footbridge opens up for thrill seekers at the Eiffel Tower. And we have a cooler and windy day today. We'll have what to expect with Chris Warner in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back.
Fairland boys high school basketball had not made the state tournament in 100 years. No, we're being serious here. 1925 is the first and only time the Owls made it to state. That is, until this past weekend. Fairland High School basketball hit the practice floor yesterday. The Owls are coming off a win over Wyandotte in the final round of the area tournament to finish as runner-up. This Thursday, Fairland is set to face Hartz-Orne in the first round of the 2A state tournament in Oklahoma City, a journey that's been quite literally 100 years in the making.
The last 2 years, we've been 2 games away both times, in games we thought we should have won. And just to finally make it and actually be here is crazy. It's a blessing, to be honest. I mean, everyone else's season's ending. A couple teams left, only a couple more games left. So, we're just grateful that we're still playing. They're ready to go. I mean, they're calm. They're having a good time. I mean, this team's so close. I mean, they all look out for each other. They're just ready they're ready to leave tomorrow and get down there and play at 10:30 on Thursday.
Over in Kansas, we're into the semifinal round of sub-state tournaments for all classes. We had a ton of our local teams in action last night, so we're heading over to Cherokee for the 2A sub-state semifinal. Southeast boys basketball hosting West Elk. Starting the final seconds of the third quarter, it's been back and forth all night. And Maddox Moreno with the fadeaway three-pointer buzzer beater gives the Patriots a 4-point lead heading into the fourth. So we go to the final minutes. Moreno again with the triple gives the Patriots a 6-point lead with 4 minutes to go. Lancers are in trouble, but here's Tracel Galindo with the steal, and he lays it in. Lancers still down by 3 with 1:40 to go. And again, a steal by Blake Robinson. Travels down the court, puts it in to put the Lancers within 1 point. They tie it up on a free throw, sending it to overtime. There's Jackson Bogdan with a jumper, putting the West Elk up by 1 with less than 10 seconds. Southeast fouled with just 3 seconds. They inbound the ball to Warner, who gives it to Andrew Phillips, who lays it in as time expires. The Lancers win at the buzzer. They've got a date with Chase County on Friday in the 2A Sub-State Final. Elsewhere in Class 2A, Colgan boys basketball handles 1 seed Oswego 61-41. Panthers will face Pleasanton in the Sub-State title game on Friday night. Over to girls, Class 3A, Girard looks the part of a number 1 seed. The Lady Trojans crush Riverton 49-23, and they'll face Burlington in the championship on Friday. Wildcats beat Caney Valley by 6 on the road last night. Elsewhere, Neodesha takes down Prairie View by 16. That means the Lady Streaks move on to the Sub-State title game, where they will face Frontenac. The Lady Raiders beat Cherryvale 49-40 on the road last night. And in boys Class 4A, Parsons had its season come to an end. The Vikings fall to Eudora 71-54. And a huge upset last night in Chanute. The Blue Comets, who were the 3 seed and ranked number 5 in the state, fall to Wamego 38-37. And still to come, a new study reveals that excessive screen time can be linked to manic symptoms in teens. Plus, it's cold, but worry not, it will warm back up. But we got to get through this windy, cold stuff first to check your forecast when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, coming up on 517 on this Wednesday morning, and a very windy day it is. During the commercial break, I was listening to the wind on the roof, and it's the strongest gust I've heard in this building just this morning. But we've been watching the cameras shake around out there. It is very windy. These are again going to be potentially damaging wind gusts because we're looking anywhere from 50 to 65 mile an hour wind gusts. So you got to take it seriously, especially in high profile vehicles. Kansas Highway Patrol sharing a number of photos, especially from Western Kansas, of semi-trucks and other vehicles of that size, being blown off the roadways. And I told you earlier this morning, my cruise control, you could feel it. It was fighting to maintain speed in this headwind out there. So, and look at this camera really shaking here. There's a couple of times, I know it's well secured, but it looked like it might just blow right off the stand that it's on. MoDOT camera 32nd and range line. Keep in mind it is attached firmly to one of these light poles here, but look at that traffic light dancing around out there with these gusty winds. And that's going to be the main story for us, at least through the majority of today, is it's just going to be the gusty winds. We got some light snow showers, not much really out there at this point. Some flurries here and there, and because of the winds and the temperatures, it's not really going to stick. Skies will begin to clear as we head through the late morning into the afternoon. As I mentioned, some of our western counties, you might be a little warmer than the eastern half of the area because you might get a little more sunshine than the rest of us do, but all of us still will be below normal. Now, as we go overnight, some good news. We get after, I'd say, 9, 10 o'clock tonight, winds will begin to ease up. They'll become light and variable overnight, and then they're going to pick up again tomorrow, but thankfully not anywhere near where they were yesterday, last night, or now. Clouds will increase on Thursday. We'll have southwest winds, occasionally gusting up to 20, and that'll help usher in some warmer air. And even though it's going to be cloudy through the majority of the day, we are not looking at any kind of precipitation chances. So our high wind warnings have been expanded. Now, remember all the different weather offices that cover us. The high wind warnings out here are set to expire at 9 a.m. Now, that could change, but right now, these are set to expire at 9. The rest of these and the wind advisories run through at least 6 o'clock this evening. And again, within the high wind warnings, we're looking at those gusts anywhere from 60 to 65 miles an hour. Wind advisories, 50 to 60 mile an hour gusts. So you've got to take it easy. We still do have also some winter weather advisories through 9 a.m. But again, a lot of this was for the expectation that we might get some heavy snow, and then with the winds, the snow wouldn't accumulate much, but it would lead to reduced visibilities. But thankfully, we're not seeing as much heavy snow as we were originally expecting. So that's some, and you can see too, 7th and range line. There were some flurries. If I put this into night vision mode, you'll see them blowing right at this camera lens, but Otherwise, not as big of an impact, thankfully. So mostly cloudy to start the day, hovering just around the mid-30s through the morning hours. And eventually, we should make it into the low to mid-40s. And again, skies will continue to clear, but the big story is going to be those gusty winds. So honestly, you also need to prepare for power outages. We had some power flickers here at the station yesterday. Haven't had any yet this morning, but you still need to be prepared for that at home. Because we saw in Carthage, those power poles that were taken down by these winds. These winds definitely mean business. Skies will be clear through the evening. Will be cold tonight, back into the upper 20s. But again, at least the winds will be calm, or at least light and variable, so it won't feel any colder than that. Low mid 50s tomorrow, much warmer Friday. Now, these gusty winds do continue into early Friday, and then they'll calm back down again. So a pretty decent day. A few showers, a little cooler Saturday. As we get into Sunday and next week, temperatures warm up quite nicely with some additional showers next Wednesday. Let's check your forecast. We're back with Health Watch after this.
Well, topping Health Watch this morning, some fired federal employees are being asked to return to work immediately. Now, an unknown number of U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention workers received emails on Tuesday that rescinded their termination letters from last month. Now, one laid off worker said he and several other CDC colleagues got the email. The email apologized for the disruption caused by their firings and asked them to report to work starting on Wednesday. Now, more than 700 CDC workers were fired last month during the Trump administration's cuts via the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. Well, breast cancer survivors treated with chemotherapy may suffer a longer-lasting decline in their physical health than those who use other treatments. Researchers analyzed data from over 2,500 women with breast cancer. About half received hormone-blocking therapy, around 10 received chemo, and about a quarter received both. Breast cancer survivors who underwent chemotherapy experienced health impacts for over 2 years after stopping treatment. Now, physical effects included fatigue and more difficulty going about daily activities like walking, climbing stairs, or carrying groceries. Well, new findings show a link between excessive screen time and manic symptoms in teens. Now, data reveals the average teen in the U.S. spends more than 8 hours a day using screens. Now, that includes TV, video games, texting, video chatting, and social media. Researchers are also seeing an increase in mental health issues among American teens, with nearly 29% of youth experiencing it. Now, experts also observe a correlation between more screen time and a risk for manic symptoms after 1 year of looking at more than 9,200 adolescents between 10 and 11 years old. Now, the correlation was strongest for adolescents who texted and used social media. Doctors describe manic symptoms as high energy feelings, irritable mood, impulsive behaviors, and getting distracted easily. Well, it's a common virus that can cause cancers later in life. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say nearly everyone not vaccinated against human papillomavirus will get it at some point in their lives. But when it comes to this virus, there are a lot of misconceptions. Mandy Gaither talks to a cancer expert to debunk 5 common HPV myths.
In the U.S., more than 42 million people are infected with types of HPV that can cause disease. Most HPV infections will go away by themselves, but others can last longer and can cause some cancers.
80% of people who have ever had sexual intercourse will have been infected with HPV.
Electra Paskett with the Ohio State University Comprehensive Cancer Center says the first HPV misconception is that only women get the virus. In fact, every year in the U.S., HPV causes about 36,000 cases of up to 6 different cancers in both men and women, including cervical, penile, anal, and cancers in the back of the throat. Myth 2, HPV infections cause symptoms. Paskett says most people will not have signs of the virus unless it progresses to cancer. 3, there's a cure for HPV. While treatments are available, there's currently no cure for the virus itself. 4, the HPV vaccine is only for girls. It's actually a routine vaccination recommended for all children at age 11 or 12 or through age 26 if not adequately vaccinated when younger. Finally, the myth that the HPV vaccine isn't safe and effective. Paskett says research shows that's not true.
For many years, the American public has been wanting a cancer vaccine. We have a cancer vaccine. Let's get it.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Now, the CDC says the HPV vaccine has the potential to protect against 90% of cancers caused by the virus, and it's most effective when it's given before the person is exposed to HPV. That's why it's recommended in childhood. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the
And we've got ourselves a very windy day out there. We are talking another day of potentially damaging wind gusts. Have a look at your forecast when we come back.
Right now at 5:30, students at Pitt State got a look at their potential futures at the annual Spring Career Fair.
We have another very windy day out there and temperatures well below normal. We'll have a look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus, a Fort Scott club serves up a Fat Tuesday tradition for more than 100 years.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:30. I'm Elise Snowy.
I'm Chris Warner. It's Wednesday. It's March the 5th, and it is a very windy day out there.
Yes.
Thankfully, we didn't have much to contend with severe weather yesterday,
Right.
which was good.
That was great.
We don't want to start the severe weather season too rough, but what we are getting are these very gusty winds. We've been listening. You can hear it on the roof, and there's a garage
Felt it
door.
on the way in,
Yeah.
for sure. I was struggling. You mentioned it with your cruise control too.
And
I
it
was like white knuckling it a little bit. It's really
tough,
windy.
to be driving out in these gusty winds, and then we've got a garage door back behind the studio, and you can hear that thing
whistling
with the the wind just slamming into it. So if you have, if you've got to be out, you're driving a high-profile vehicle, you know it's susceptible to the gusty winds. You need to be extra cautious. But even smaller vehicles like ours are susceptible to these kinds of winds. So you need to be extra cautious today. Let's take a look outside downtown Pittsburgh, and every so often, as I mentioned, those winds hit just right. And boy, this camera, I know it's firmly attached to where it's at, but boy, it shakes so much you might think it was going to fall like this. Like you would almost think it's about ready to fall off of this thing, bouncing around out there. It's just very gusty winds. MoDOT camera 32nd in range line. Overall looks good, but you can see the traffic signal here just bobbing around in that those gusty winds, and that's the main thing we have to deal with. I mean, yeah, it's going to be colder. That stinks, but the biggest concern weather-wise is these gusty northwest winds, and the thing is they're going to stick with us through the majority of the day. It won't be until later this evening that they'll begin to ease up a bit for us and become actually light and variable, if not calm, overnight tonight. Temperatures this morning, again, cold out there. We are in the low, mid, and upper 30s with those northwest winds. I mean, they are gusting anywhere from 50 to 65 miles an hour. Are talking serious wind. We've already seen the damage that they've left behind, and they could cause more today. So that's the other thing you need to be prepared for is power outages, whether you're at work or at home. Just do be prepared. You could lose power here and there with these kinds of winds. 33 kids getting on the bus. Again, those northwest winds sustained at 30 to 35, gusting to 50 or greater. Northwest winds 25, 35 when the bus brings them home. Partly cloudy, 44, and still winds gusting anywhere from 50 to 65 miles an hour. We'll have skies again gradually clearing out there, becoming clear by this evening, and temperatures again quite cool, low to mid 40s. We're having another look at your forecast. We're going to talk about this cold weather and when it goes away and when we warm up again here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, Pittsburgh State University hosted its annual spring fair yesterday. Now, recruiters from a variety of industries gathered at the Plaster Center to connect with students of all natures and classifications. The Office of Career Development organized the event to give students the chance to network, explore internships, and pursue job opportunities. Now, for event organizers, networking is the name of the game.
All in one room. It takes out the part of going to employer to business. They're all in one location where they can make those connections and multiple multiple connections.
Now, 140 companies participated in the event. And yesterday, the Pittsburgh Area Chamber of Commerce invited the public out to experience the flavors of charms of Italy. The chamber hosted a Taste of Tuscany, an event featuring Tuscan cuisine, Italian atmosphere, and great company. The event also served as a way for the chamber to promote its upcoming international getaway trip to Tuscany. And it's all about tradition for the Fort Scott Kiwanis Club. Yesterday, the group hosted its annual Shrove Tuesday pancake feed for the 102nd year. Now, if you're curious about the significance of eating pancakes on Shrove Tuesday, it actually dates back about 1,500 years when Christians were banned from eating all meat and animal products during Lent. So they made pancakes to use up their eggs, milk, and butter.
It's a fellowship thing, you know, it's a tradition that we do every year. This is Fat Tuesday. We started doing it on that, so it's just something the community, I think we get good support from our corporate sponsors, and so it kind of reaches out to those people that work for different corporations, different companies in town.
Now, the Kiwanis provides funding for youth activities in the community like swimming passes and skating rink tickets. And some call it Mardi Gras, but it's also referred to as Shrove Tuesday, the day before Ash Wednesday when the Lenten season of fasting begins. Now, last night, the Sacred Heart Catholic Church in Frontenac hosted a Mardi Gras parish dinner. Attendees enjoyed New Orleans cuisine, bingo, and prizes.
Yeah, I think the emotions are high. There's always some anxiety with Lent. There's some fears. There's some excitement. There are people that love Lent. They like to suffer, you know. There are people that don't like Lent because it's hard. We deny ourselves. We get in a daily practice of saying no to ourselves in some way, and that's hard.
The French name Mardi Gras means Fat Tuesday, from the custom of using all of the fats in the home before Lent in preparation for fasting and abstinence. Well, some Southwest Missouri students put their hard work up to the test of Mother Nature yesterday. Third graders in Nixa engineered houses to withstand natural disasters in honor of Severe Weather Preparedness Week. Now, the students predicted how their creations would hold up to wildfire, flooding, or dust storms. Then their teachers unleashed homemade weather to see how the models fared. Now, students say these experiments are a lot of fun, and their teachers know they're also learning a lot too.
You could see people's houses fail and their reactions are like, oh no, dang it!
I think it's also not just about the science. They're learning so much through this. They're thinking critically, they're learning that empathy piece, they're having to be confident in the solutions that they are coming up with. So yes, it's awesome to build this house and see if it works, but there's so much more to it.
Now, more student-made model homes will be put to the test today. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Arab leaders meet in Egypt to approve a counter-proposal to President Trump's Gaza plan. Plus, investors worry as 25% tariffs take effect on Mexico and Canada. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. Now, topping World Watch, thrill seekers have begun to trek across a new suspension bridge 200 feet in the air at the Eiffel Tower. The vertigo of the tower stretches over 130 feet, connecting the north and south pillars of the tower's first floor. The bridge is completely enclosed and made of two superimposed layers of blue knotted nets laced together with a technique inspired by fishing nets. Tourists have until March 9th to experience the attraction. Several already say they love it, and the Eiffel Tower welcomed over 6 million visitors in 2024. Well, Brazilian police officers have a little fun of their own during Carnival, dressing up in all sorts of costumes while they arrest criminals. A video shows a team of Power Rangers taking down multiple suspects at the Carnival street party in Sao Paulo. Mario and Luigi, a crocodile, even an officer dressed as a crime scene, escorting suspects to their squad cars. Sao Paulo is well known for its vibrant carnival celebration, with many street parties showing off the city's vibrant cultural traditions. The celebration kicked off on Friday and wrapped up yesterday. The high-level summit gets underway in Egypt in an effort to finalize a new plan for Mideast peace. Arab leaders meeting in Cairo Tuesday are set to endorse an alternative to the U.S. proposal for a ceasefire in Gaza. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi is hosting the summit attended by various Arab leaders, including Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, Jordan's King Abdullah, and the UN Secretary General. President Trump has called for the Gaza Strip to be depopulated and transformed into a beach resort. Now, the new Arab plan would require Hamas to release half its remaining hostages in exchange for a ceasefire extension and a promise to negotiate a lasting truce. The U.S. is squarely in an escalating trade war with President Trump's long-threatened tariffs now in effect. Now, while the president has said the move is intended to crack down on the drug war, economists warn it could also mean higher prices for Americans. Kevin Cork has the latest on where shoppers could feel the biggest pinch on their wallets.
U.S. stocks closed lower Tuesday, uncertainty mounting among investors after newly imposed 25% tariffs by the Trump administration on Mexico and Canada went into effect.
You have a wall of worry. That wall of worry has led to market volatility that investors haven't seen in well over a year now.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau warning Americans that prices will go up on both sides of the border.
This is a very dumb thing to do.
Where Americans could see prices rise the most, economists estimate, is with food. Both Mexico and Canada are major suppliers of fruits and veggies, as well as meats, grains, and poultry. Another category shoppers could feel the biggest sting: cars and car parts.
I mean, we're going to struggle and they're going to struggle, and a lot of it is out of our hands.
And with more tariffs coming next week for China, electronics are also expected to go up in price. Target CEO Brian Cornell saying shoppers should brace for higher prices overall, with strawberries, avocados, and bananas expected to cost more within just a matter of days. Still, the Trump administration is defending the move.
Well, respectfully, this is not a trade war, it's a drug war.
After markets closed Tuesday, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said President Trump may announce a pathway for relief on Mexican and Canadian goods as soon as Wednesday.
And that's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOM Morning News. 5:46 now on this Wednesday morning, and a blustery Wednesday morning it is. We've got those cloudy skies for the time being. We have very gusty northwest winds, and these winds, like yesterday and last night, could potentially be damaging because they could range anywhere from 50 to 65 mile-an-hour gusts across the area. And you can see our camera downtown Pittsburgh shaking around. MoDOT camera 32nd in range line. Again, as those gusts pick up, you can really watch these traffic lights and stuff just sway back and forth out there. So we got to deal with that wind. And if you're driving really any kind of car, it's going to be susceptible to these kinds of winds. You're going to have to hold on tight to the wheel. You're going to have to be cautious. And additionally, as we've mentioned, you should prepare for the possibility of power outages. Now, we have great utility crews. Some get out there pretty quickly and get these things taken care of, but you should at least prepare for some kind of power loss as a possibility because these winds are going to last all day. Now, skies will begin to clear, temperatures below normal, and with the winds, it'll feel even colder out there, but the sun will at least return. Now, some good news is late this evening into the overnight, the winds will ease up. They'll become light and variable, if not calm, but it's a brief reprieve. We'll start to see the gusty winds return tomorrow. The good news, though, about tomorrow is these winds, will start to shift out of the southwest, and they'll only be gusting 20, maybe 25 miles an hour. So that's considerably better than the 65 mile an hour range. That said, even though we'll have plenty of cloud cover tomorrow, we will be a bit warmer, and we're not expecting any kind of precipitation. High wind warnings out there in this lemon kind of color here. Now, in this portion of southeast Kansas, at last check, these are set to expire at 9 a.m. That could change. Keep you updated on that. The rest of them go through at least 6 o'clock this evening, as do the majority of these wind advisories, because it's just going to be breezy all day long. We also have these winter weather advisories through 9 a.m. That was because we were expecting maybe some heavier snow at times that could have led to reduced visibility. So we're not worried about it accumulating or causing road problems, but sticking to the roads. But it could have led to reduced visibility. Thankfully, the snow not that heavy. It's been okay, but you still want to be careful out there as you're driving this morning. Okay, so through the morning hours, again, mostly cloudy, and we'll hold out into the 30s. We'll eventually begin to warm later today as we start to see a little more sunshine. Low mid 40s for most of us. Now, some of our far western counties may get a little more sunshine a little earlier, so you might be a little warmer, but we're all still going to be below average. As I mentioned, the winds will ease up late this evening into the overnight, which is good. We'll have clear skies. We'll also have cold temperatures, so at least we're not going to have 60-mile-an-hour winds, making it feel much colder as we fall back into the upper 20s. As we look down the road, a little chilly again tomorrow, low mid 50s. By Friday, though, it'll still be breezy. Thursday night into Friday, but by Friday late morning, those winds will begin to ease up. They're going to become a lot more manageable and pretty nice day for us. A little cooler, maybe a shower on Saturday, and then we turn back around, start warming up. Sunshine Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, maybe a shower next Wednesday, and temperatures feeling a lot more spring-like. Let's check your forecast. We're back with more right after this.
Well, a pair of window washers went for a harrowing wild ride when high winds whipped their skyscraper scaffolding out of control. It was all caught on camera, and Jeremy Roth has today's Take a Look at This.
A tense and terrifying display left New Yorkers stunned as high winds twisted a skyscraper scaffolding out of control hundreds of feet in the air.
Don't you think you're having a bad day? Check that out.
2 window washers were trapped on the swaying platform as strong winds twisted and slammed it against the building's exterior, sending shards of glass raining down on the streets below. Firefighters reached the 78th floor to find windows bashed in, and perhaps even more shocking, that neither trapped worker was secured to the scaffolding with safety lines.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing, the fact that they weren't tied off.
The crew managed to secure the swinging scaffolding using ropes and rescued the window washers, who amazingly suffered only minor injuries from their wind-whipped wild ride in the Manhattan sky. And now to a momentous ride beyond Earth's blue skies. An uncrewed U.S. spacecraft made a successful soft landing on the moon, making its developer, Texas-based Firefly Aerospace, only the second private sector company ever to complete such a feat. The Blue Ghost lunar lander captured stunning images as it approached the moon before executing its landing.
Y'all stuck the landing. We're on the moon.
Which was met with uproarious applause from operators and spectators back on Earth. During its 14-day mission, Blue Ghost is expected to capture data, images, soil samples, and more before it switches to battery power and stays put indefinitely on the dark side of the moon. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Incredible images. Stick around. We'll be right back. Well, a girl is teaching others the value of kindness. Now, she's on a mission to install a buddy bench at school so that no one feels alone. 8-year-old Phoenix says she got the idea after seeing a classmate crying because she had no one to play with at recess. Without hesitation, Phoenix jumped in to play, but admits she was sad that her classmate felt so bad. So she came up with a plan. Now, she went home and told her mom that she wanted to create a buddy bench. Phoenix says the idea is simple. If a kid is on the bench, they need a friend. If another kid sits next to them, they now have a playmate. Phoenix has already put up her own $5 to help raise money for the bench, and her mom has set up a GoFundMe to help. Well, McDonald's is giving fans insight into their favorite celebrities' go-to breakfast meals are after the Oscars. Now, the chain dropped a new commercial on Monday, a day after the 97th Academy Awards. McDonald's order receipts print out of a cash register from celebrities including Coleman Domingo, Jackie Chan, Michael B. Jordan, Keke Palmer, Julia Fox, and more. Now, the standout order comes from Best Supporting Actor winner Kieran Culkin, who prefers just one small Coke for breakfast. How about that?
Some of those orders there actually look pretty good. Now I'm getting hungry again.
Yeah.
We might have to just go out and check that out. We got to find that commercial, though. We got to place those orders and see if those meals are good. I saw one of them, the very first thing, it just said mayo packet. Now, there were other things, but I couldn't read the rest
Mayo
of it.
for breakfast, that's a little gutsy for me.
That was interesting to say the least. That's why we got to try these. Some good news real quick. We've seen winter weather advisories cut back now just to our eastern counties, and I imagine those will be allowed to expire probably before the 9 a.m. deadline because, as you see, we didn't really get that much, which is great, but it is cold, it is windy, 30s for the morning, mostly cloudy. Then clouds gradually clearing out there, low to mid 40s, but the big concern, those northwest winds gusting anywhere from 50 to 65 miles an hour. So again, damaging wind gusts, very possible. We'll have clear skies through the evening. Winds will calm down overnight, thankfully. We'll go back into the upper 20s. It'll come back tomorrow. Clouds increase, low mid 50s, but the winds out of the southwest gusting to 20. And instead of 60, so better. Still breezy in the first part of our Friday. The winds calm down by the afternoon. Sunny skies, beautiful temperatures. A little cooler on Saturday with some shower chances. We'll warm back up heading into next week. That's Check Your Forecast. Got another hour of the KOAM Morning News right after this.